Blaze Media Managing News Editor is somebody I don't usually have on. He usually says, no. And, welcome to Leon Wolf. Hi, Leon. How are you?
Glenn, thanks so much for having me on the program today. It's good to talk to you again. It's been a while.
Yeah, good. I know. Good to talk to you. So, by the way, great stuff happening at the Blaze. Congratulations. Blaze.com is better than it's ever been, by far better than it's ever been. And you brought a story that we're keeping in front of the paywall because it's so important. You talked to a guy that just doesn't want to talk to anybody. I don't know how you got this, but there is a guy, a Democrat, who has been fighting against Anthony Fauci and warning that he's going to destroy the world and kill all of us since 2001?
Yeah, 2001 was really when it began. You know, I started, researching this. I wanted to really understand, how, there's been a lot of discussion about gain-of-function research. And so I wanted to, get an understanding. When did this start? What's been the progress of it? What's the history of it? What I found, going back to, old news reports, even as far back as 2001, when the program began, was that there was one name that continued to pop up over and over and over again, that when people would go and find people, let's get this side of the story that doesn't want this to continue. And it was the same guy over and over again. And his name is Dr. Richard Ebright. And I had followed him on Twitter since the beginning of the pandemic. I didn't really know much about him, but I thought, this is fascinating. Here's a guy, I've been following him for 2 or 3 years. He's been doing this for 2 decades. And I thought to myself, the world has heard Anthony Fauci's side of this story ad nauseum. I think somebody should get this guy's side of the story because it feels like he's probably been right. So I reached out to him, called him, and he immediately graciously agreed to give me his time. And, what you see is the result of that.
So in the story you go on, it was right after 9/11 and we had anthrax and, we got to prepare in case they start using bioweapons. And that's when Anthony Fauci started saying, we need gain-of-function research. And why was Albright against this?
So Ebright, his position...
Ebright, sorry.
Yeah, Ebright's position, which I think has been vindicated, is that the more biological agents that you put in the hands of researchers, the more dangerous and not less dangerous that you make it. Because historically, and this is true, most biological attacks have not been carried out by terrorists. They've been carried out by people who are researchers with axes to grind, who released them on purpose. And in fact, as I'm sure your listeners will remember, he said that in 2001. The final result of the anthrax investigation was not completed until 2008. Totally vindicated that because the person who released all the anthrax was an authorized government researcher who had, legal access to the anthrax. That's how he got a hold of it. So he's been right about this all along in every step of the way. And, I just think it's remarkably prescient how accurate he's been. And I want your listeners, if they can, to put themselves in his shoes, because I think it's hard for me to even imagine this. Here he is. He's been saying this for 20 years. And among other things he said is, even if nobody releases this on purpose, one day you could have an accident.
Gladly.
He's been warning about this for so long. Even if nobody does it on purpose.
Didn't even say that even if it doesn't happen on purpose, if we are doing this, we're going to have so many labs all around the world that it just increases the chance that something will leak from one of them, right?
That's absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct. There was a New York Times did a profile on him 20 years ago, and that was the exact point that he made. And here comes 2020. He's been saying this. Fauci's been poo-pooing him this entire time, saying this is definitely not going to happen. And lo and behold, here the thing he's been warning about for 20 years happens. And he must have thought to himself, finally, it's terrible that this has happened, but at least I'm about to be vindicated. And amazingly, through the efforts of Fauci, Fauci convinces the world that he's somehow the good guy in all of this. I might have lost my mind if I had been trying to warn about this for 20 years. And the guy who's responsible somehow becomes the hero of the whole story.
Eden Pure is back with their famous Thunderstorm air purifier. It's their top seller air purifier that quickly destroys viruses, odors, mold, and so much more. With thousands of 5-star reviews, you know it works. Any smell will vanish after just a few seconds of the Thunderstorm being plugged in. Odors, litter boxes, trash cans, cigarette smokes, dirty diapers. Wow, I don't want to visit that house. The powerful Thunderstorm sends out O3 molecules that seek out and destroy odors. I have these in my house. They're great. The molecules go behind and under furniture. Nothing can hide from the Thunderstorm. Best of all, no filters to buy over and over again, saving you money. Start enjoying your home again and get several Thunderstorms. Right now, you can save $200 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for the whole home protection. You get 3 units for under $200. Put one in your basement, bedroom, family room, kitchen, wherever you need the air to be clean. Go to EdenPureDeals.com, EdenPureDeals.com. Use the promo code BECK and save.
And he's a registered Democrat. He's testified now in front of Congress, and a registered Democrat. He said, I voted for Biden. I had a Biden sign in my lawn. So you can't really make this into a partisan kind of thing. So where is he at now? What are people starting to listen to him at all, or is Fauci still going to win on this gain of function stuff?
No, he thinks, and I agree, that there is an emerging bipartisan consensus that something needs to be done. And his testimony, I would encourage anybody who hasn't yet, because it didn't get as much TV coverage as the Fauci hearing in front of the House a couple of weeks ago. But his testimony in front of the Senate on Tuesday, him and there were 3 other witnesses, I thought was a rare example. Like, most of these are just kind of dog and pony shows. Everybody's showboating for the cameras. I really felt that the Democrats on the committee, including Gary Peters of Michigan, Maggie Hassan of New Hampshire, they were all asking, I thought, really good, intelligent questions that signaled, I think, that people are starting to wake up, that we got to get a handle on this. I mean, this is literally a threat to the entire existence of humanity that this continues. I mean, it's tough to say this about a pandemic that killed 20 million and counting, but it could have been so much worse given what they've been working with this entire time. And something does need to be done. And I think it is going to be done probably sooner rather than later.
Did you talk to him at all about this bird flu thing?
Yes. It's remarkable. I mean, it's difficult to say for sure. Kills 60% of humanized mice. The humanized mice are intended to, predict with some degree of certainty how many people would actually die if they got the same thing. So we can't say for certain, but you think about a virus that could spread as efficiently as COVID did, that kills 60% of people instead of about 1% of people. Imagine how devastating that could be. And they just did this research with no risk-benefit analysis. Nobody beforehand said, hey, wait, should we even do this? I mean, even the New York Times, back then, just absolutely flipped out about it. I mean, they did an editorial that was not written by a single person, but the entire editorial board signed on and says, this research should never have happened, and the virus they created should have been destroyed. And that just wasn't happening. Just didn't happen.
So does he think it's going to happen with bird flu? Does he think that this is real?
It obviously is a concern. I don't know, where the path of it is going to go, but it certainly is a concern among livestock currently in the United States. And just the prayer at this moment is that it doesn't jump into the human population and become transmissible in the way that they intentionally made it so in 2011.
We are dealing with a world of mad scientists. From the tech world with AI to Fauci and all of the things that we're doing there with nuclear weapons, we are living in a time where the leadership of science has gone insane. and we're going to pay a price.
Yeah, it's, reading through this stuff, and the problem is that for so long we have taken their word for it, that this research that they're doing, and I was guilty of this as well, they assured us, this is being done at the most secure facilities. It's all completely safe. Please don't worry. Everything is on lockdown. And you read in here about stuff where they were found to be transporting highly dangerous infectious materials around the halls of CDC in Ziploc bags, leaving them unlocked in refrigerators that had anybody in the building, including janitorial staff, had access to. Smallpox vials laying around in unlocked storage areas. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Researchers accidentally sent deadly H5N1 bird flu to researchers and mislabeled it as non-deadly H9N2. And the researchers only knew about it when they opened the vials, gave it to chickens, and all the chickens died right away. They were like, wait a minute, this wasn't supposed to happen. Just send this stuff through the mail. It's absolutely, it's insane, the level of negligence that we have seen from the scientific community. And when you put all that together, it's very clear they should not be continued to allow to handle this. I mean, it can't continue this way.
There's a story now on theblaze.com, Lab Wars, inside one Democrat's 20-year-old crusade to save the world from Anthony Fauci, part 1. And it is in front of the paywall so everybody can get it. I just want you to know, Blaze.com is asking people for $3 a month. If you read The Blaze, $3 a month. That's it. And it will unlock all of the stories that we have. Now, these are not the aggregate stories, the stories that everybody has that, are easily rewritten or everything else. By the way, we do not use AI. We never will use AI. So those stories are rewritten or, put together by actual human beings. But then we have upped our commitment to investigations, to real journalism, actual journalism. The rest of the media will go to the government, and they'll get the money, and they'll just become one in lockstep with the government, even more than they are right now. They can't afford to do journalism because they don't have the audience like we have that are reliable and know that we're doing our best to tell the truth. And you're not getting this anywhere else. So if you like these stories or you read The Blaze, you can join BlazeTV and add this on, or you can just go to theblaze.com and subscribe. It's $3 a month, and you'll get stories like this. The stories on The Blaze, and I said this to you earlier, and I just said this to somebody else, one of the executives at The Blaze. The Blaze has never ever been anywhere close to as good as it is right now. So thank you for that, Leon.
And thank you, Glenn, and thanks to Matthew and Tyler for the work that they've done on that as well. And I just want to encourage your readers, as you note, this is part 1. Part 2 is probably going to drop early next week. Part 3 is the really scary part, because what's incredible to me is that after all this has happened, and I understand that people disagree about the lab leak theory, is we don't know that it's definitely true. We don't know that it's not true. But I think everybody at this point would admit probably it's at least 50% true that this happened. And the takeaway of this from the scientific community is not we need to stop doing this research. It's we need to do even more and more dangerous research. It's really terrifying. So unless something happens, we could be looking at a very serious situation. I think this is the most important story I've ever covered by far in all my years of doing this.
Well, Leon, thank you so much for your work. I appreciate it. Available now at Blaze, theblaze.com online. I will tell you that, and it's free. You don't have to pay for it. I will tell you, I was shocked to hear what he just said from somebody else in the know, in that profession, in that world, saying exactly the same thing. No, we got to go further. We've got to keep going and go further because these diseases are coming at us. This is the Bill Gates mentality, and it is so unbelievably irresponsible and dangerous.